favorite things.
Yeah.
So Monica, what inspires you about dance and healing?
Well, I think what most inspires me about dance is that it's centered in the body. And basically, I feel like the body holds so many memories, and so many, like everything that happens to us in our life is stored somewhere in our bodies. So like in our cells. So I feel that when we start moving, all of these new discoveries come up. And so for me, that's a big part of the healing process, is finding the stories that are within our cells and in our bodies. So, and I think it's also a really great way to get out of your head. So like if you're thinking all the time, you're using a certain part of your mind, but once you start moving, you're kind of open to a different kind of intelligence that is rooted in your body and in your cells and in your muscles and your bones. And so I feel like that then brings a whole level of new energy and new information to you.
Yeah, I feel like when I'm dancing, it's like a total different, I think I call it the body brain. So
Right.
It's like you're getting a bunch of different information from your feet, from your hands, and I get different visions that are
Right.
information that happens versus just using my brain. So,
Right.
yeah, I think
Yes.
your body, and it tells you, like you key into like how sensitive your body is, and
Right.
how like your body is so intelligent, your whole
Right.
entire body, not just your brain. So I think a lot
Yeah.
of people don't really know that.
Yeah, that's true. And I've definitely had that experience of thinking that I understand a problem or something about myself. And like just to give an example, when I was working with clients who were adolescents, and I thought, like in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm so peaceful and calm around the adolescents, and I'm so past all that teenage stuff. And then I did a movement response with some friends where I moved and they witnessed my movement, and I started doing all this like punching motions and angry, and like all this fire was coming out, and they were really surprised. They were like, Monica, that's not how you usually are. You're not an angry person. And I had all this anger coming out of my body. And I realized my body knew that I wasn't done with that adolescent anger, and it still lived in me. And then by working with teenagers, it like triggered that in me. So through movement, I realized I still have these anger issues to work out, and I could work it out through movement, so that when I went back to work with the teens again, I was in a much clearer place myself. So I could be a clearer channel to help them heal and work through their own anger. But without looking at mine, I couldn't have helped them as much. But I never would have known that by thinking or writing about it. It was through moving that it came out.
Yes,
So,
and that reminds me, like sometimes when you're dancing with people, or for example, like if I go dancing and no one's dancing, but if I
Yeah.
start dancing, then other people start feeling the mood. So, they start dancing too, and then everybody's dancing. And it's the same thing that when you're around someone, like you're saying you're with
Yeah.
the adolescents, that you all of a sudden feel their body information,
Right.
and your
Mhm.
body takes it in sometimes.
Yeah,
And then you're
definitely.
like, wait a minute. But that's, it's a very cool thing because it's very empathetic. Like you're very, like you can feel how other people are feeling, and therefore you can be more compassionate because you
Right.
know that it's,
Yeah.
you know how they're feeling, and so when
That's
you're
true.
working with them, you went back to it brought you back to your adolescence.
Yeah.
But it made you more compassionate
Right.
to how they feel because you
Yeah.
went back there again.
Definitely. And I think there is really an energy in movement where you pick up, like if you're moving with someone, you're picking up information about them that isn't available any other way. Not through verbal, not through intellectual exchange. There's something that happens when two people move together, which we've seen when we've done videos together before, is there's a synergy that happens, and it creates something new, and it's something completely different than any other way of communicating. And so that's what I always find really inspiring and exciting about movement, is it's always an adventure, like what's going to happen, what's going to come out of this interchange. So yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and a lot of magical things have happened when we have danced together,
Yeah.
which has been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes me think of sessions with you with
Right.
the dance therapy, which I just started, which is just amazing. It's so deep and magical at the same time. Like
Yeah.
I'm learning like so much information. Like my body is telling me all this information,
Yeah.
and the fact that it's coming from my body grounds me in a way, and
Right.
makes me more like intuitive and more knowing. Like it's not something that I believe in my head.
Right.
It's something that I know in my body. Like riding a bike, like you know how to ride. You always know you can get back on
Yeah.
and be able to find your balance. And so I feel like those sessions made me feel like. And then the fact that also that I was having these dreams about wanting to go to dance therapy.
Right.
So I feel like my soul loves dance therapy.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned dreams, because I feel like movement accesses that same part of the unconscious that dreams do. So often, like when I'm moving, I'll have an image from a dream the night before that I didn't remember until I started moving. And I think there's, that wealth of information that's in like dreams and archetypes and all of that, like the collective unconscious stuff is there in your dreams, and that is kind of embedded in the body. So I feel like when you start moving, you're tapping into that and awakening that. And there's so much rich information for us there, like about what is the next step in my life, or how am I really feeling about this decision. And it's usually, it comes to you often, or to me, often in like symbols and images, which is very similar to dream work.